Hi, I'm Cameron. I don't just read comics. Sometimes I watch them. On today's episode of Cameron Reads Comics, I'm going to be talking about Batman, Caped Crusader, Season 1. So I'm just talking about episodes 1 through 10 of this amazing DC series. For accessibility-wise, just like some context into this whole show coming around, it was originally slated for HBO Max, and then it got sold to Prime, so you can currently watch it on Prime Video. In my opinion, HBO Max blew it. While it stands on its own, it's a great new series. I would recommend everyone watches the tried and true Batman the Animated Series, co-created by Bruce Timm, who was one of the creators of this series. They went back and kind of did the Batman show I think they always wanted to do. It's a little bit more hard-boiled. It's a little bit more gritty. It's a period piece. It's way more noir-driven than the animated series. Yeah, Bruce Timm, co-creator of Harley Quinn, one of the greatest animators of all time. And then the second half is Ed Brubaker is, I'd say, one of the biggest reason to watch this series because he is the head of the writer's room. Famed Batman and Catwoman writer. He wrote the omnibus Catwoman on the East End, or at least all the beginning of that. He wrote Bruce Wayne Murderer and Fugitive. My favorite run he ever did was Gotham Central with Greg Rucka, whose name is going to come up later in the series. It's also produced so just if you're wondering about the force behind this series, it's produced by J.J. Abrams and Matt Reeves. Wow. Okay. We had so many A-listers in Batman culture and just like also cinematic culture backing this series to happen. So it was really, really popular. But one thing I want to shine on too is that the staff of writers is stacked with comic writers. So I'm just going to name a couple. Greg Rucka, huge, great writer of Wonder Woman, co-wrote Gotham Central, wrote a couple of these. The Question, he made Renee Montoya The Question. That was awesome. He wrote Batman New Gotham, just like all time. Understands the characters he's working with. Co-writer on 52, the ongoing series, just like DC Comics royalty. Then Ed Brubaker, who I said wrote a ton of Batman, wrote Gotham City very well. Now is currently writing Criminal, his own universe within the Image Comics umbrella with Sean Phillips, absolutely crushing. One of the greatest noir comic book writers. Every time I talk to a comic book writer and I ask them what they're reading, Criminal is always in their pile. So we love Ed Brubaker. Obviously Bruce Timm. And then a cool one is Mark Bernardin, who is kind of getting his feet wet in the writing thing. I don't follow him super. I really don't know what he's up to all the time. I know he is a co-host of the Fat Man Beyond or Fat Man on Batman podcast with Kevin Smith. That's where his name first came up to me. But now I know he's doing a lot of work with Tiffany Smith and just like other people who are in the DC Comics family. So to see his name as a writer on this series, great. Let's do it. Let's keep it going. So now for the story and the series itself. That I just want to provide that other context for all of the amazing talent that was on this series. So for the villains, it was basically a structure of one villain per episode with an overarching story happening underneath, which perfect. Exactly what I wanted. It's not something they really did on the animated series of Batman. It was a syndicated, just one episode is its own story, occasional two-parter, but that wasn't this show. They made the series they wanted to. So, big one, Penguin, first episode with not Oswald, but Oswalda Cobblepot, voiced by Minnie Driver. That's crazy. That was like, just the whole thing was crazy. I thought it was a great episode. Next up, we have Clayface, but a very body horror Clayface. Very cool as Basil Karlo. Great. Selena Kyle Catwoman, voiced by Christina Ricci. So great. And she was popping up all over the series. We have Firefly, also known in the series as Firebug. Super cool. random character of all characters. And I thought his episode wasn't the strongest, but it was crazy that he was in this. Automatopoeia, the Green Arrow villain created by Kevin Smith and Phil Hester, one of the killers in the series. One of his first times being allowed to be adapted. Please note, for all the episodes I watched, I didn't watch the whole series, but first 6 seasons, Automatopoeia was not on the Arrow series CW at all. So kind of crazy that they let him be in this show. I think Kevin Smith said like, hey, Mark Bernardin, if you're writing that episode or whatever, like if Bruce Timm's name on it, yeah, you can just go nuts. Because Kevin Smith that was a pretty precious character to him. Two-Face was the overarching villain. Diedrich Bader voicing a previous voice of Batman and like a sillier Batman in Batman Brave and the Bold, and currently in Harley Quinn, just crazy Batman voice, playing Two-Face. He did a great freaking job. I don't see Diedrich Bader in a lot of like very serious roles, but he did a very serious Two-Face in Harvey Dent. Great arc, great characterization, just wonderful. Then there was 2 more episodes. Harley Quinn, voiced by Jamie Chung, great work. I thought they did a Harley Quinn episode without the Joker appearing in the series, and I was like, really? They sold me on it. It was perfect. They totally made it work. I was so satisfied with that whole series. So great job. And then Gentleman Ghost as well, which is like a cool horror, magic, spooky episode. Want to give big props to Hamish Linklater as the voice of Batman. Not an easy task post Kevin Conroy. He's a fine Batman. He's solemn. He's stern. I thought he blew my socks off. I didn't think it could be done, capture the same energy that Kevin did. And I don't think he made that standard, but he was close. You know what I mean? Like shoot for the stars, land among the clouds. Like great job, man. Hamish Linklater. And also not, upon looking at him, obviously it's a voice acting gig, but looking at him, I'm like, what? Because I've seen him. He's in The Big Short. I've seen Hamish Linklater, but I thought he absolutely crushed it as Batman, which was such a heavyweight, but he did great. I'm just like stoked for him. It was so cool to kind of see the period piece of Bruce Wayne again and like that animation style. It's a different Gotham, but it's very similar in those ways. Every time I see Batman swinging on the bat rope, it was so cool. Like every time, I thought they made the characterization of Batman exceptionally well. And so for the tone of the show, really quick, it's a period piece. There's a legend that Batman, the animated series, was originally supposed to take place in the 40s and 50s. And you can tell by the Art Deco influence on that show that style was like leaning in that direction. But this one goes a full send. So it's like so noir. It feels so special that Ed Brubaker got to like do his thing and like really create a tonally noir show. I thought it was done really, really, really well. Now for the rating of the show, 9.5 out of 10. I thought it was really good. I need more of it. If you like this recommendation, or if you like this show, here's a recommendation for you. Obviously, Batman the Animated Series. Go check it out. The greatest of all time. Ed Brubaker's Criminal Universe is amazing. Periodic stories. You don't need to read anything. You can just go pick up the latest. They do print straight to graphic novels. Awesome. Go check it out. Gotham Central by Ed Brubaker. And then recently DC did a book called Batman First Night by Dan Jurgens with art by Mike Perkins. And it is OG 1930s Batman, very much in the same vein. I highly recommend it. Go check that out if you like this. Cool. My name's Cameron. I don't just read comics. I sometimes watch them, but mostly I love them. If you watch this show, drop a comment. Tell me what you thought. I'll see you guys next time.